So I wanted to give iPhone Air another shot. You can hear my full story on Primary Technology, it's my tech podcast. But rather than restored from backup like I've done with every iPhone for the last 10 plus years, I decided to set it up as new. And in the process, I discovered there's a bunch of settings and things I immediately needed to change. Like stopping apps from automatically being added to the home screen, turning off that silent mode icon in the status bar, add some useful things to Control Center because it comes very blank. I didn't realize you had to turn on 4K for video recording, and a ton more. So here are 28 settings and tips that if you have a new iPhone and you don't restore from backup, you should change immediately. First, you're probably going to download a bunch of apps and want to change your home screen, maybe adding YouTube or other social apps, changing out some of the default icons, and I don't think anybody keeps the App Store on their main home screen. But tapping and holding, going to edit home screen, and then deleting each individual app, super time consuming. So do this instead. Swipe all the way over to the right, grab any app, it could be settings, whatever you want, drag it over and create a new home screen. Once you have a new home screen, tap the dots here at the bottom of the home screen, and now you can just turn off those stock home screens, and if you want, just straight up remove them entirely, and now you can start with a blank slate and customize the home screen exactly how you want. This is how I ended up with widgets, many apps that are not the default apps, and I changed out my dock too. Now the other thing I discovered is by default, when you download a new app, let's say you wanted to use Pocket Cast to listen to shows instead of Apple Podcasts, well anytime you download an app, by default it's going to get added to your home screen. And if you just edited your home screen exactly how you wanted, now those apps are going to start moving things around or creating new home screens when you didn't want it to. The setting you want to change here is in the Settings app, and then scroll down until you see Home Screen and App Library. And here, instead of Add to Home Screen for newly downloaded apps, just choose App Library only. Now when you download new apps, you'll be able to find them when you swipe all the way to the right and you look in your app library, but they won't get added to your home screen automatically. Also, while you're here, if notification badges are turned on for App Library, don't stress yourself out. Just toggle this off. I also realized that by default, whenever you allow notifications from a new app that you downloaded, even if it's YouTube, it's going to show those badges right away. So I immediately went here to the notification settings and turned off badges for pretty much anything. Even things like Wallet, I don't keep badges, and I also turn sounds off as well. I'll only keep badges on for text messages. Also, at the very top of the notification settings, scheduled summary is off by default, but this is actually a great way to limit the amount of notifications you get during the day. So I actually like turning on notification summary. You can look at the suggestions here and maybe choose things like YouTube, Google Fi, whatever apps you don't need to see notifications from immediately. Add those to that notification summary that gets delivered once or as many times a day as you would like. Turn on the summary, and that'll help limit notifications throughout the day. Also, by default, when you set up a new iPhone, if you go into silent mode, that little bell icon with the line through it stays in the status bar as long as you're in silent mode. Now, I never disable silent mode. My phone never makes any sounds ever. And if that's the case for you as well, you can turn off that little symbol by going to Sounds and Haptics, and then here, Show in Status Bar, toggle that off. Now you don't have to see that little bell icon there in the status bar. Also, while you're here in Sounds and Haptics, yes, turn off the keyboard clicks. You scroll down here, and here where it says Keyboard Feedback, tap into there, turn off sound, which is on by default, but you could turn on haptics, which provides a nice little vibration when you're tapping the keys. All right, going back to the home screen, once you put all your widgets and icons where you want, which I actually did an entire video walking you through how to customize your home screen and control center and what I do for my personal phone, you can watch that video here or just scan the QR code and check out my full walkthrough of your home screen and lock screen. But the other thing you should really customize is the Today view. By default, Apple puts things like weather, calendars, random maps, things like tips and stocks. I like to redo this entire Today view because that's where I run a lot of my shortcuts. This is my 17 Pro Max, which is my daily driver. And when I swipe over to the Today view, you see I have a bunch of shortcuts here in the top widgets. I do have my Monarch widget here, which shows me my most recent transactions. I also have a Foodnoms widget so I can quickly log foods. I have my battery widget way down here, Fantastical, and then things and reminders below that. But take some time, actually edit this Today view, and to do that, just tap and hold anywhere in the Today view, tap Edit Home Screen, and then you can remove the widgets that are there by default, and then add your own by tapping Edit at the top, tap Add Widget, and now you can add a bunch of widgets that you actually want. Finally, add some stuff both on the lock screen, whether they're lock screen widgets and icons, and in the Control Center. By default, the Control Center is very blank. You have this kind of favorites icon, you have the music or now playing screen, and then you have the connectivity area. I've significantly redone my control center. I actually broke out things like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth so you can have separate toggles right here on the main home screen page. I have a bunch of smart home devices and scenes that I can run here from the widgets, and I have a bunch of actions for third-party apps, like adding a grocery item to AnyList, framing my last screenshot using Shareshot right there in the control center. I can quickly search a movie or actor using Callsheet. That's what that magnifying glass is. And you can access the control center in any app. So really customizing this so you can really take advantage of the control center, especially adding shortcuts, which I run a ton of shortcuts here from control center because you can run a shortcut that then takes a screenshot and it will automatically hide the control center. And well, I have a bunch of videos with shortcuts. I'll link another one of those above. Swipe down and go back to the lock screen, tap and hold to edit, and then hit customize, and then add some widgets right here under the clock. There's lots of great widgets, both built-in and third-party. Here on my main device, I typically have my next upcoming event using the Fantastical widget here. I have my Foodnoms widget letting me know how many calories I have left in the day, and the current conditions, or it might show a forecast if there's precipitation expected. And not only can you adjust those lock screen widgets under the clock, you can also change out the camera or flashlight icons to be shortcuts, other third-party actions, whatever you'd like. So be sure to customize the lock screen too. Alright, and final thing when it comes to customizing your iPhone, just download the Widgetsmith app. That's all I'm going to say. This is the app that'll let you customize widgets, create multiple custom square, long, big widgets. And the one use case I have for Widgetsmith that I use on every phone is just having a single image in a widget that never changes. Inexplicably, the actual Photos app on your iPhone, there's no way to just choose a single photo and add it to your home screen in a widget. You either have to do the featured photos, which will actually scroll. You can choose an individual album, which you could create an album and then just put a single photo in there, but that seems kind of silly too. But the Widgetsmith app lets you create as many widgets as you would like that are just one static image, and you can even choose from themes, photo frames, and more. I'll put a link to Widgetsmith down in the description. All right, let's head back to the settings app because there were some things I needed to change that I didn't realize were different by default. One, ever since iOS 26, I've really liked the keep audio with headphones when I'm getting into my car. So if you're wearing AirPods, you get into your car, and then your phone connects to the car Bluetooth and the audio stops playing in your headphones, you can change that with this toggle here. The keep audio with headphones, toggle that on. Now when you get in the car, even when your phone connects, the podcast or music you were listening to will stay in your headphones until you take your headphones out or change the AirPlay setting. Also, by default, when you take a screenshot, it goes into that visual intelligence mode and takes over the entire screen. Well, you don't have to keep it like that. If you prefer having the screenshot go into that smaller window whenever you do it, go down to Screen Capture, and instead of full screen previews, toggle that off. Now, when you take a screenshot, it'll go into that little preview window, but you can still tap it and go into that visual intelligence type mode, and you can ask ChatGPT things, mark up the screenshot, but it's better than taking up the entire screen. Also, automatic visual lookup is off by default. I would toggle that on. This way, if you want to identify an animal, interpret what a laundry tag says, you can see all of that in visual lookup. I actually did an entire video on visual intelligence and all the features available. I'll link that above as well. Also, when you capture screenshots and you're connected to CarPlay, you can actually get those CarPlay screenshots saved as well if you toggle this on. Next, let's go back to General, and this time we're going to go down to Autofill and Passwords. Here, make sure the Delete After Use is toggled on. Whenever you get a 6-digit code when you're logging into a website and they text you that code, well, not only can you automatically fill it, but they'll automatically get deleted once you use it. But this has to be toggled on for that to happen. Going back to the main settings screen, do something with your action button. By default, it's usually set to just silence, but you have a bunch of options here in the action button, whether you want it to do a control center control, run a shortcut, which is what I do, or show a shortcuts folder. You can see here the show folder command, select an entire shortcuts folder, and now whenever you hold the action button, now you can run up to 8 shortcuts. They're displayed nicely in this little box. And if you want to have your toggle silent mode as a shortcut, you can do that too, so you can still quickly access it. Also, if you have a phone with Apple Intelligence, like on this iPhone Air, I would go to Apple Intelligence and then go down to the ChatGPT integration and make sure this is toggled on. Then you can actually ask the voice assistant things that it's not good at answering, but ChatGPT can answer, and you can make it use ChatGPT by just saying those words. Using ChatGPT, tell me the average rainfall in the Amazon basin. You'll see it's working with ChatGPT, and then it will give you an answer from ChatGPT rather than the stock voice assistant answer. So toggling ChatGPT on and then saying the words using ChatGPT at the beginning of your request, you're going to get way better answers. Also, it blew my mind that video recording on the iPhone by default out of the box is 1080p. It doesn't record 4K video unless you change this setting. So go to Settings and then Camera, and then here under record video, change that from 1080 to 4K. I typically leave it at 4K 30. You could do 4K 60, although that is going to take up more storage, but 4K 30, I would do that at minimum, or 4K 24 if you want to be cinematic. This way you get high quality video. That was wild to me that it's still 1080p by default. Also, while you're here in the camera settings, I would toggle on use volume up for burst. Burst mode is where you can take a bunch of photos during like fast action, and ever since iOS 26, it's kind of hard to find. In order to do burst mode, you actually tap and hold the shutter camera button and then drag it down, and then you can see it's taking a bunch of photos. But once you toggle that volume up on, now I can just hold the volume up button, and that's also going into burst mode. Also here in the camera settings, this view outside of the frame will show you a preview of what the camera's seeing all the way edge to edge of the screen, which goes under the shutter button. I don't really like that, so I turn it off, view outside the frame, and also go up to preserve settings and make sure only what's toggled on is what you want on. When you toggle these settings on, it means if you set a photographic style when taking a picture, if I preserve that setting, it means the next time I open the camera, it will return to that photographic style I chose the last time I shot. By default, live photo is toggled on, but I like to toggle this off. I like taking live photos by default, so even if I turn off the live photo while I'm capturing it, I want it to return to taking live photos next time I go to the camera. So I toggle this off. All right, now a couple of things that were really nice, even though I set this iPhone Air up as new, didn't restore from backup, focus modes still sync. So all the focus modes that I use across all my Apple devices, they're all right here. And not only that, but it keeps the contacts who I have saved, the people who can break through the focus, and the apps that can actually send me notifications. Now what it doesn't sync are the actual home screens. I think it would be kind of cool if your iPhone could sync home screens across iPhones, but I would have to create those multiple home screens and then actually choose them per focus. But that's okay. On this iPhone Air, I'm trying to just stick with one home screen, try not to put any social apps on that main home screen, and it's a little different than my main home screen for my 17 Pro Max, so we'll see how long it lasts. Oh, another big setting that you definitely need to change. If you scroll down here in Face ID and passcode, you'll see the allow access when locked. This means even if your iPhone is locked, someone could look at the Today view or search something on your phone. They could access Control Center, which I have a lot of shortcuts and third-party app actions there. I don't want anybody to be able to access that. I also don't want someone to access the voice assistant if my phone is locked, reply to messages if my phone is locked. So I pick and choose what I have toggled on and off for when my phone is locked. So you can either mirror mine or choose for yourself. I do like home control when locked if I want to open my garage, but I can't unlock my phone right now, but I don't want access to things like my wallet while my phone is locked. So this is how I have mine set. Also, if you have other Apple devices signed into your iCloud account, one of the great features is sending messages that are SMS and being able to respond on any device you have. In order for that to work, you actually have to enable those other devices. So make sure you go to the Messages app settings, scroll down, and here you'll see text message forwarding. Now on my main iPhone, I have this toggled on for almost everything except for a couple Mac minis. But if you want to be able to get any message, whether it's SMS or iMessage across your Apple devices, make sure to toggle these on. Also, while you're here in the different app settings, be sure to go down to Phone, and there's a great new feature in iOS 26, which is screening. You can have callers who are not in your contacts. They'll be asked their reason for calling, and you can see that on screen before answering it. So I do the ask reason for calling, and I toggle on unknown caller call filtering here. These are off by default. I will toggle them on. Another app settings change here in reminders. Another iOS 26 feature is you can set urgent reminders and it will actually set off an alarm, not just the reminder with a little ding noise. This will actually make like it's an alarm clock going off. So if you want that ability to create a reminder with an alarm, toggle it on here in settings. And then here in reminders, when you create a new reminder, just toggle on this urgent toggle, and that will actually have an alarm that goes off when that reminder gets triggered. All right, and last two tips. Back here in the settings and then apps, let's go over to Safari. And a couple things. I like toggling on the require Face ID to unlock private browsing. And if you want to change the tab view, you can go from compact to the bottom look to top and bottom. Just to show you the difference, here's my website, and this is the default with the look at the bottom. But if you go to the middle option where it says bottom, now it's actually going to show a larger area, including the share button. Now your share button and the bookmarks icon are readily available if they're not hidden under a menu. Or you can go with the top look, and that's actually going to put the address bar here at the top, and the controls here at the bottom, including the share and bookmark. Otherwise, the default is the compact view here. Then you just get the tiny address bar, but you can always tap and hold on the address bar, tap share here, switch tab groups. Of course, you have the 3-dot menu as well for all those options. So that was almost 30 tips and settings to change if you're setting up your iPhone from new. It was pretty illuminating. It's been a long time since I ever did that. I always restore from a backup. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Get subscribed and hit that like button. Lots of features and tips about iPhone, iPad, and Mac. Going to be doing a lot of Mac content here coming up very soon, including a getting started guide. And so if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Also, if you've not heard of shortcuts yet, and you're new to the iPhone, I have a lot of videos on shortcuts. I'll put my top shortcuts of 2025 video right up here. And if you have an iPhone with Apple Intelligence, there's some really powerful automations you can do right now. And if you want to learn more about iPad and Mac, I'll put one of my videos on those right up here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.